We often have a man come and tell us about how the Lord has worked in his life since he was saved, how his life's been changed since he was saved, or how he came to know Jesus Christ as his personal Savior. And tonight we've asked Craig O'Hare to give us his testimony.
My testimony is not, how I want to put this, a real exciting story. Now, this story would only be about 5 minutes of 21 years. No one likes a long, at our work we don't. Ask, is this going to be a long story? Because you get bored pretty quick. But I've heard testimonies in here that are really really different backgrounds. I've heard Byron Martinez, where he came from Colombia over here, and Fred Edwards gave a great testimony, went through Vietnam when he got saved, and during the men's barbecue banquet we had. But mine is, I really believe, probably half of an Americans grew up, or growing up, the way I did. I grew up in a home that was really home. Not a Christian home. Let me stress to you, not a Christian home. We never went to church, but I had parents. I had a good dad and a good mom. And you grow up with two younger brothers. We lived in a rural country, basically, building forts, playing in the hayloft. Then you get older, then you're playing sports. You had a dad that played baseball with you, hitting grounders to you, playing horse with us, basketball. We did. We weren't rich, we weren't poor, we were just your typical American that had a good life. We did, and had neighbors, boys. We'd play sports, and then you get older, you get into high school, and we always played basketball, baseball, football. We played on the varsity on all three sports, loved it. Parents, grandparents came to all the games, and I could say I had a great childhood life. I really did, and I look back and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But we were not Christians. And the world thinks that, well, you're a good family, you got to be going to heaven. Well, we never thought about it. But I had two grandparents that were Christians, and they went to a good church. It was down by Indianapolis, outside of Indianapolis, a little small Baptist church. And I was very close to them, very close. Even when I was junior, senior in high school, very close to them. And, and they were always praying for me. I remember when I was 12 years old, Christmas, they gave me, and I still have it, I have it at work actually, a Bible, 1975. I was 12 years old. But we did go to 6 months, I remember that, when I was 12 years old. My mom and dad, we went to that Baptist church. And we went, but just for 6 months, and that was basically it. Never went to church since, except Easter and Christmas, grandparents. And we go through, and you go through high school, and everything seems fine. You're just, as a kid, you're just enjoying life. And then you get out of high school, and I just remember, just like today, the next couple years, no direction in my life. Moved out of the house. That's just the way it was. I was 19 years old. I'm out of the house. Not that, Dad said you're out no matter what, but, that's just the way we just. And so I moved in with a couple guys, and all of a sudden, just gradually, life just started going down. Not that I was getting in trouble, not that, was, getting into drugs or anything, but all of a sudden you start feeling that emptiness in your life. So I'm 19, 20 years old, 21 years old. So a couple years are going through, and I'm working, making minimum wage, then $3.35. I just remember that. Working for a lawn service. But I was just very empty inside. I could remember when I would, and so then you're just, then you start doing the drinking, the smoking, and just it's really going bad. And then finally, my grandparents invited me to church. I think they saw that I needed the Lord. And so I thought, you know what, why not go? I got nothing, and I could remember just laying in bed at that apartment just thinking, wow, there's got to be something better in life than what I have or anything, and I had no clue. And they invited me to that Baptist church, long time, the same one, small church. And so I went for my grandparents. And when I went, I heard the preaching, guy getting up here and preaching the Bible, and that caught my attention. And I wasn't a churchgoer. I know a lot of people, even guys at my work, think that, when they look at a Christian, they think, oh, you went to church all your life. Well, more than half the people here didn't start out, going to church, and no, it was, so, but I heard the gospel, I heard the Bible being preached. And so I kept going back, and I'm searching in my thing, but I heard the truth. And I just remember like it was yesterday, and then dealing with my heart about salvation, about going to heaven, and realizing it doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to go to heaven. I realized that, what the Bible said. And so to make a long story short, I asked the Lord to come in my heart and to save me. And I was 21 years old, and it changed my life. I mean, it just did. It was like a joy. I had so much joy, and the sin was off my shoulders, and I was excited. And right away, I thought of my mom and dad. Now, my mom and dad, great people, never did any harm to anybody. But my dad would tell you today that no matter how good they were, if they were to die, they were going to go to hell, because that's what the Bible said. And that was what somebody showed me back then. And I believed that. So I worked on my parents to come to that church. Finally, I got them to come. And what really got my dad was that when he saw his, when he saw his 13-year-old son, my youngest brother, walk the aisle and get saved, that just him. And my dad was just like any of you, worked hard, honest guy, but he didn't have the Lord. And he didn't get saved I think it was the next week or the other week, I'll never forget, and I couldn't believe it. And he came down that aisle and got saved, and ever since then, so it's been 30 years now, and he's back home, him and my mom, serving the Lord, still excited what happened that day. And no matter how good they were great people, it still wouldn't have got them to heaven. It was that day when they asked the Lord to come in their heart and to save them. And now I look at people at my job, anywhere, good family, good kids, but you're not going to heaven. I don't care how good your parents are. They're not saved. They're not born again. And I am so thankful that my grandparents got me to come and to hear the gospel. And that's what my testimony is all about.